Here we are, Solar top left and Clem bottom right as we get this up and running. Bottom right is going to be, so yes, Clem. So, was that not in blue? I feel like that was in blue. I got confused by the colors there, but I guess it's just the color of the races. I just got myself mixed up momentarily. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just a silly caster who gets confused easily. Hatchery goes down. As I get this up and a-rolling. Intrigued to see what will happen here. Solo's had some good results lately, and of course Clem, I think it's fair to say, he's not had the best time against Korean Zerg players lately, and that includes versus Solo. He lost out 0-2 to Solo in the DreamHack last chance, of course. And the last time they played before that was back in November, so Clem was on like a huge winning streak against Solo as well. I think he'd won everything since Katowice against Solo that year in 2021. But yeah, start of the year and last chance and just lost out there. And it probably wouldn't be something we talked about as much if it hadn't just been for the fact that obviously Clem has had a few losses in TvZ lately. And I think that's what we really have been, focusing in on, just that his TvZ has not been as unbeatable as you might expect. And we only kind of hone in on that because Clem is a high-tier player, and we talk about his TvZ, or we talked about his TvZ as being the best in the world. And there's definitely just been something not clicking quite the same for him. I feel like since these new maps came around, he's had some better games, but yeah, there's not been, like I say, perfect throughout. Now, he looked good against Armani earlier, defended a Roach Ravager attack. He played a longer game where he kept pretty good control of it for the most part. Looking at his other results, 2-1 Ratan in ESL Open Cup, 0-2 Dark, 0-2 Solar in the last chance. 0-2 Alazer twice in the Open Cups. We casted those games. Those were surprises. So yeah, just like I say, surprising type results. He did win Reno against 3-1 in the last chance, and of course in the Lima League Invitational, he won Ode Rogue and Dark as well, and that was also a pretty big factor. So it does feel like he's had some recovery in TvZ, but it's been an up and down affair. Kind of interested to see where he comes out in this one as we get this underway. Map number 1. Berlingrad, of course, like I say, the first map, this one's just predetermined, so there was always going to be the downside of maybe saving Solar for now, and, if time goes down, then you have to play Solar on Berlingrad, and playing Solar on Berlingrad against, what you expect to be Clem is obviously just giving Clem a map advantage on map 1. See how this plays out. Reaper is getting pushed around by the Queens a little bit, so the Reaper taking a few shots here and there, and is just going to pull around into the center. Fusion Core from Clem. Wow, what a way to open. What a way to completely switch it up. And if you ask me, the players who are most likely to build a Fusion Core in TvZ, well, Clem is just not one of them. A Battlecruiser opening is a big switch up from the norm for him. And, yeah, like I say, just not what I would have predicted at all going into this. Yeah, wow. I would imagine if I have to make a prediction right now, we play 1 BC into Bio. There was that time when Clem played Mech, right? When he played... he did play that... Mech game against Reno in like a DreamHack event, and that was kind of crazy. That was on, I would remember the map if I thought about it properly. If I could see the map pool in front of me, I could tell you what map it was, but I can't right now. But yeah, maybe we see Clem. If Clem plays Mech, I'm actually going to lose my mind, but no. I mean, a slight potential. It's not like it's never been seen before from Clem, but it would be kind of wild if that actually turned out to happen. Alright, Hellions moving around a little bit here. Gonna come up around the top as our CC gets into the natural. Hellions gonna aim for the drones over there, and they're just gonna be pulling away. Flag coming through, the drones and the Ling setting up, the Overlord coming into play. CC, couple of Hellions, all of that continuing up right now as well. It's just getting this up and running. And Clem just keeping pretty good map control with it. Dropping down in Armory, so you'll get Hellbats with this, but there are also the extra couple of barracks. which means that he will have bio behind this. There's the stim pack starting. Again, I feel like the biggest success story of this might just be the fact that Solo has no idea that this one BC is on its way, and so it's going to be quite hard to prep for, especially if these queens are going to be kept at the front, deflecting the Hellions. I wonder what we're going to do. There's no spore crawlers yet either. Oh, there is spores? Okay, but they're positioned for libs. Now he's going to reposition them into the middle of the mineral lines, so feels like there's no lib coming, so going to switch it up, and here we go. Hellions morph into Hellbats. The BC going to fly in on top of the queens. Target firing down a high HP one. The Banelings aren't ready yet. The Hellbats are going to be sent to deal with those morphing Banelings. Oh, there's a few that are just going to finish. He needs one more shot off. Oh, only a couple finish, but it's enough to do a good amount of damage, but he doesn't kill many of them. Okay. Well, Clem will continue forward with these Hellbats. The BC push back at the moment, as it looks like we're just going to trade out with basically the Lings and the Queens. At the end of the day here, the BC overhead, picking away at a few of those Zerglings. This is pretty much going to be it. Not really any damage done when it comes to economy at all. Not the craziest of setups then. That Overseer is going to be finishing. It's going to be moving down. Lingbane Queen continue to set up. Hellbats, Hellion, Reaper, all of that going through as well. That BC escapes out, and obviously Clem on the bio follow-up. I mean, this wasn't a failure. Just because it didn't kill drones doesn't mean that this is a failure, right? I would say it's actually pretty successful. You killed off a lot of Lings. You forced Solo into a lot of units. You got your third base down, and you're only about 9 workers behind. That's kind of where you're meant to be. I would say this did fine for Clem. Yeah, it didn't win the game or anything like that, but I don't know if it needed to win the game per se, you know? It really didn't. He's got a good follow-up behind it too. Yeah, I don't hate it. I think a lot of people will say, oh, Hellbats, they failed, but I feel like this was decent. The BC's still alive, right? So you can bring the BC back in to harass a little bit, you know, in the future as well, and that's just something else. You're giving Clem another tool to work with, and you give Clem extra tools to make damage happen with in TvZ. That seems almost unfair, right? I was going to see the drilling claws coming through. The BC is still alive, though, guys. I haven't seen it for a hot second. Gonna scan out the right side, gonna grab a few more creep tumors, and just gonna see the Lings coming around. Clem just gonna trade and then lift once it gets a little bit messy. Obviously just trying to keep out of trouble as best he can. Couple new medevacs coming in. We're gonna unload out over to the right-hand side. Also gonna grab an Ovi and just gonna be continuing around. Look at this, Clem up in supply at the moment, so, you know, want to know how well that opening went for him? Well, yeah, pretty well. Turns out it's okay for now. Baneling run by is already set up. Oh, Clem is a moment too late to go and lift up those Marines, so the Banelings will get a connection. I see a couple drones going down. 7 workers killed so far. The Queen's still moving across. The Overlord taking some damage. And these Banes are going to try and run in over here as well. The tank is there to deflect those Banelings and to stop those getting any further forward. Hatchery is going to get cancelled. So there is our BC back in play. I guess I just felt like it took a while for it to come back online there, but is back and running right now. It's been a little bit annoying, and I mean, getting a cancel on a hatchery is obviously pretty serious. Clem loads and unloads all of these units over here. So just having a quick move with all of these Marines to try and catch Sola a bit more out of position. Sola is on his way to the Lurkers. The Lurker Den is on the way up. The Hydras are out. Hive is now morphing in as well, so bringing this into play as our 2-2 upgrades continue through. Well, yeah, Clem is not going to be able to do much else. He's had a bit of a supply lead, but a lot of that is just obviously how much Solo's been teching up as well. Solo hasn't really chilled out at all with the Hive and the Infestation Pit to get there. Obviously the Hydra Den to Lurker Den. Hydras need their upgrades too. Clem building siege tanks, and well, with Lurkers really already imminent in this game, the question sort of becomes, when will we see some ghosts start to come down? Because that's pretty much just the expectation a lot of the time in this. Some tanks pressing forward, and just going to be seeing this Lingbane coming through. Io pulling back a little bit, a couple tank shots starting to fire up a storm there, and well, the BC going to find this little Baneling run by on the left side, so that's actually a pretty nice catch. Clem kind of choking himself up on the tank, so that actually does help you. It's generally a good thing, and you see Solar still trying to run forward here, still trying to make something happen. He's going to get on top of these tanks. That's actually really nice. Killing off tanks is going to power up the lurker run-bys because, or the lurker, I say run-bys, but you know what I mean when the lurkers just kind of run in there and try and make something happen. Definitely a factor, and the less tanks you have, the more easier it's going to be to relocate those lurkers into strong positions. Fibers are still coming through, +1 missiles are setting up. Going to see that seismic spines for the lurker range is also going to be ready soon. I mean, Solar really is just striding straight into his later game setup. He's exactly where he wants to be, and am I worried for Clem? Not seeing any ghosts still. Just believing that he's comfortable on the tanks. I mean, Ghost now starting to produce. Like, I don't mind it because Ghost's on the way now, but it was getting to that point where I'm like, well, without Ghost, you're really starting to push the issue. There's a Bane run by on that base, guys, or a Ling run by on that base just north. They crashed into some depots. Obviously, sorry, I'm not observing just the feed, so I saw it coming on the minimap and was expecting it to jump, and then we even started to hear the action happen, and we still didn't jump over to it, so Observer unfortunately just slipping there for a moment, which it happens, guys. Ain't easy to catch at all. Solar is starting to get good control of the map. Creep spread is pretty much everywhere. These medevacs are going to loop around the bottom side as well. He's going to go and jump on that set of rocks. These Marines going to unload from the medevacs. They're going to go pushing forward, and well, straight up, that's a dead Overseer as we're going to stem through here otherwise, and that's just going to be a drone picked off as well. A bunch of these Creep Teamers are going to get picked off also. Again, Nidus Network just up at the front at the moment as we do see our Ling Bane Hydra back around. I guess Clem, I mean, he is ready to play the longer game. He's playing a little bit more defensive here, right? Turrets are coming down. Lots of command centers are coming down. It's one of the things Clem's definitely adapted to in his TvZ as of late, which is just being, you know, happy to play the longer game when necessary. He's been much happier to kind of take that stance and to make that progress, and I gotta say credit to him because that's not an easy change to make. He, you know, he's known to be the very aggressive, never-stopping Terran player. But now, you know, you look at this right now, and this is like very Maru-esque, just going to make all those CCs. He's just saying, look, what I can do through the mid-game is great, yes, but if people are getting more used to me there, and, you know, this late game might be the better option, I can play that late game too. I can play that late game too. I think that's really cool. Now just popping out here and there, and just going to be seeing the orbital, another planetary, morphing on in at the moment, getting all of that set up right here, and it's getting this underway. Playing Bane, Queen, coming across, getting set up, and just going to be seeing a well, depots continuing out. Marines are setting up around that top side as well, pushing in for a little bit more damage to be done. And just going to be having our Ling Bane Hydra Force still pushing through the center. Clem's doing a good job denying this left base. Obviously, Berlingrad is a map which does not have a ton of bases just available forever. So see how Ling's coming through. CC's just going to lift up. A few Banes rolling across as well. And the Hydra's going to put some damage out. And that Parasite bombs on the medevacs. Drops one on each. Are they staggered, or are they all at the same time? That's important to just see whether they can get kills or not. Either way, Clem gets the unload, and he does set up that bottom left corner. Trying to clean out some of the creep on the right side as well. There's going to be a quite large fight. Inducting a couple of the ghosts in. Those ghosts will tank some bailing shots, but obviously that's not ideal. Losing ghosts is expensive, is not cheap at all. As Clem continues into the center, this upper right side being carved away at a lot of this creep spread going down. And really just trying to open up this space to the upper right to allow him to obviously push the top right Zerg base and also take his own top right base. Just trying to contest for all of these bases here, trying to get to that point where the Zerg obviously can't mine from extra bases than the Terran, and that means that the efficiency of this game in favor of Clem really does then come into play. Like I say, Clem's playing real defensive, just spotted a double planetary fortress off on that right side as well. Really just taking a lot of precautions around his bases. These two Marines are fighting lurkers. Can they actually win this fight? the scan lasts long enough. He actually gets that done. Hey, the BC is still around. You know, one of the things we always talk about with Clem is his retention of units, how good he is at just keeping units alive for as long as possible. For the BC to be here at 15 minutes kind of says so. I mean, that said, I feel like it's not really been very active, so maybe it's not super impressive, but kind of funny, because I almost always talk about how Clem has just got great unit retention. You know, he never loses a Liberator, gets the most out of it, etc., etc. That was the BC showing back. I'm like, well, it would be Clem, right? It would be Clem. I think at this stage, okay, to lose the BC and just let this kind of be, you know, more free supply to build other things. But even building some Liberators right now, they're going to be great against the Lurkers. You see our Bane running through here. It's just going to be having now our Bane's running forward, and big fight coming out. Big blind clouds go down as the tanks in the back get hurt. Well, tanks in the front got taken down, but a couple of tanks surviving, and Clem actually takes a good fight here, still losing a lot of supply. They'll have a lot more rebuilding to do than Clem will on the back end of that. These ghosts are back up to the high ground, +1 flyer attacks coming through, the Great Spire coming up. And just going to be seeing these couple of Crypt Tumors in the center now. Being cleaned out as well. I jinxed it? Well, no, okay. Yes, you can say I jinxed it, but I do think he purposefully was given the battlecruiser up, because I think it was at the point where I had just done enough, and where also he wants the supply elsewhere, right? Like, at this point, 3 more libs, or 2 more libs? Like, what supply is a lib? 2 or 3? Whatever. More libs is better than the BC around at this point, I think. So. Ghost pulling back, and just going to see Liberators continue to siege up on the left-hand side, as we do have Infestors on the way as well. Solo getting into some more of his own spellcasters as this game progresses. 10 drones dying off, and Clem actually on 85 SCVs of his own. He's going to build up a very reasonable bank for himself right now, so. And that's set up. The SV Battalions pulling back. Tanks will cover those Zerglings and not let them get too much done. And the Vipers on the left-hand side. Battalions coming forward. Going to get rid of a couple of Crypt Tumors. The Spore Crawler is going to go down as well. I pull back one more time here, and still got those libs in a decent position and zoning quite nicely. Oh, he couldn't stand the BC on the field. Is this the thing now? I just talk about units I don't want to be out on the map. I'm just like, oh, you know what, guys? I hate this siege tank. I think Clem did a real good job of keeping tanks alive this game. Oh, no, one of them died. It's the Wardy curse. It's powerful, man. I demand the death of... It's Supply Depot. Let's see if it works. Broodlord's on the way in. Obviously, a funky later game transition. Broods have a real niche usage in this matchup, right? Where they can do very well against tanks, of course, but it is tough to kind of keep them alive, and it's tough to keep them in play a lot of the time because they just are slow moving. That's definitely one of the bigger issues that you typically see with the Broods, and once you get the proper anti-Broodlord army up, like a couple of Thors, and honestly just Ghost Snipes in general can be great, once you deal with the Broods, it's something you don't oftentimes build back into. Tanks, Ghost sitting out over here. The Broodlord's going to fly our way, and these Ghosts are going to take some extra damage. Fungal goes down on a couple of the Liberators at the moment. Definitely a factor, as our Ghosts will hold off right now, and that's not going to be much gained at all from Solus. Not able to make much progress there. Broods are going to come back along and do what they can. Snipes are going to come down. The Fungal Growth was a little bit late to go off on that. I mean, we're just going to be seeing our siege tanks firing away. Well, these Broods continue to get picked away at, and I mean, the Broods just not really doing enough, and the Ghosts really just delivering. And Infestors, obviously, you know, when the Fungals were down, obviously those Broods were a little bit safer, but it took a little bit of a while to get set up for. Some more snipes coming down as everything that flies forward is just getting sniped down. These goats are going freaking crazy. Tell you what, Clem's efficiency the last few moments has been wild, and Solo actually only has 68 drones, and he's running out of money. Like, he's actually running out of cash right here. It's getting a little bit ridiculous, guys. Like, Solo might just be on his way out of this game. I mean, a few more snipes coming down. Broods are getting deleted once again. If you get a few Broodlings on the Ghosts, and he's going to try and snipe one more time. He gets a few more of them. The snipes continue to line up. The Ghosts are surrounded by Broodlings, so Clem is taking some losses, but Solar is out of freaking money. He's got nothing left right now. Oh, man. Clem showing up in the freaking late game. He really set up for late game. He built the CCs. He was content to go here, and he's played a strong late game at that as well. It was a good setup. The Thor showing up big time. The Ghost delivering. I like this from the chat. Play like Maru? Okay, then. Yeah, guys. Just play like Maru. Everyone else is like, okay, guys. Good meme. And Clem's like, oh, right, okay, I'll play like Maru. Yeah, this is very Maru. Maru kind of style, right? Take the map. Don't rush in. He knew when to cut off his aggression. This is a very mature game of TvZ from Clem. He knew when to stop. He knew when he wasn't getting more done on his own accord. He knew when it was time to kind of give up the chase and play a bit of a different game, and he transitioned beautifully, and he took the late game. He slowly fought over these bottom left bases. He didn't let Solar take the top right base too quick, but he didn't go overboard denying them. He didn't feel like he had to push in immediately. I feel like Clem just shown a lot of maturity here, and like I said, just a lot of confidence as well. You know, it takes confidence to sit back and say, right, I have to sit back, slow this game down, and play the later game. And that's exactly what he had in this situation as we get a few more snipes down. These Ghosts just continuing to deliver kill after kill. They're actually running out of energy. They've been so active throughout this, I swear down. Vex will be holding out here. Is just going to be seen now. Ghost pressing forwards. A couple of Infestors from the right-hand side. And just going to be seeing another round of snipes on the Broodlords. EMP in case it's Infestors. I actually genuinely think some of these Ghosts can't snipe right now. Like, he's getting to the point where he's running out of energy. Broodlords are continuing to get shot down, and Clem's supply continues to take a lead. And look at Clem's bank. He's got like 6k minerals almost banked up here as well. He's going to break this left side base of Solar, and I don't know what Solar is going to do in response to that. I don't know what Solar's going to do about that at all. In fact, I think this is going to be very tough for him as this base goes down. This is a pretty, a pretty necessary base from Solar too. When he's not playing efficiently, he needs to mine more than Clem. Well, now he was already mining an even amount of bases. That's already bad. But now this is already as well a situation which is, it's already a situation where now you kind of down a base on Clem and you just can't really do much about it. And this is rough. We've known it's rough for a while, and it just continues to seemingly get worse here from Solar. It definitely ain't getting better. A few Ghosts firing up a storm, a few more Fungals coming down. Broodlords continuing to drop the Broodlings in. Just going to see the Corruptors continuing through. The Liberators being chased. These few Zerglings continuing to get picked away at as well. As we do see our Vikings continuing to flank, and those Corruptors will be chased away. I mean, Solar actually gets a cleanup of this Clem army, but again, when you talk about who has the potential to rebuild, it absolutely is Clem over Solar. The one good news here for Solar, or the one good part of this for Solar, really might be that he can get the bottom left base. The problem is, I feel like the units that perform the best in lower numbers right now are the Ghosts, right? If they can just keep their snipes going off and get a unit here and a unit there, they're going to continue to just get big insta-kills. A couple more snipes going down. Broodling still taking damage. Oh, nice fungal there. These last few Ghosts might indeed fall. This has been a very drawn out, somewhat final engagement. 140 supply on the board from both. Like I say, Clem, a lot of minerals, maybe missing gas a bit. He's making some Marines right now, which are not the best units, as Liberators are going to come chase these Broodlords down because there's no anti-air. So those will not do a lot. Solar splits the Broods away to deal with the splash, to stop the splash damage. I mean, obviously, Solar just making lings of his own. He really is out of money, though. Like, Solar does not have a lot of cash. And that's the biggest difference here. It really is a huge difference, I believe. The fact that Clem has money to spare and Solar really does not. It just means that Clem is now remaxed. We're just talking about them both being on, 140 supply, and now that's obviously no longer the case. GG's, and Clem is going to take this game. Just has too much. What a game from Clem. What a fantastic display of late game TvZ. You guys think Clem is in trouble in his matchups and not looking as good lately? Oh, you know what? A game like that gives Clem a lot of confidence. And confident Clem can do freaking anything, I swear down. He is a beast when he believes in himself. I'm sure Solar saw that. I'm sure that will be maybe a factor in his choice here. Let's ready up for this. What's up, Poo to Moo? That's a hell of a name. Thank you so much for your 2-month resub on the Prime. I really appreciate it. Top right side is going to be our Blue Zerg player, Kaizi Gaming Solar. Bottom left corner of the map, our red Terran player from Team Liquid. This is Clem. So, 2 lives left on each team, but of course Solar has already lost a map, which means Kaizi will be on their last map, which is at the point then where you start talking about probably Solar being revived. So this is exactly what happened against the Freaks earlier. Clem got to this point where he was 1-0 up against Trap, and if he could get the 2-0, so if you get the 2-0, I'll just explain this freshly. If you get the 2-0 now as Clem, Kaizi will be on their last life, but Liquid will not be. Liquid will still have 2 lives left, and that means that Kaizi must win 2-0 in the next match, and Clem would still be on. So if Clem wins this map now, he only needs 1 map in the next 2 afterwards to then win the series. If Solar wins this map, both teams go down to their last life. What happens then, if both teams are on their last life, is they can both revive a player. We might get Solar Clem again. They play another 2 maps. But they will always play the 2 maps if both teams are on their last life. Because even if one team loses their first life, or loses the first game and loses their life, they still have the second map to take the life off the other team, and then both teams can end on 0 lives, and then you have the ultimate best-of-1 ace match. So that is how this can go. That is a possibility, and that's something which I'd say is fairly realistic here in terms of what can happen, given the fact that, Solar takes this map, they go 1-1 again. Like I say, it's absolutely possible. We'll talk more about it based on the result here. Just want to give you guys a little idea of what's going on. Four lings, 2 queens coming up at the moment from Solar. As we just actually see 6 lings. He's going to go into the 2 additional lings as well. A couple lings extra on top of what you might initially expect. Reaper coming around and is trying to get a bit of damage done. Obviously, just going to fight these lings. No kills. Shouldn't get a kill on the 6 lings to play with. He's going to get pushed away. Clem going to come back with this Reaper, but not to really try and do anything else at this stage. Just having a little bit of a look around more than anything. Crack's just going to go and drop down. Starport is a building here as well. Just getting that set up, and just going to see our link speed still being brought into play as well from Solar. Really no surprises just yet on the board from him. Let's wait to see how he wants to play this game on Hardwire. Very possible we see something very similar. Clem may be fairly dominant in the mid game. A little bit of a larger map, so maybe a little bit less of that. But if Clem was happy to sit back and play the later game on Berlingrad, he's very likely to do the same here. Map with more bases and more options. So it's going to be a little bit more contested left versus right side and trying to deny bases. But honestly, if Clem plays a late game like he just did, I don't see any reason to necessarily say, oh god, I got to switch it up or do something, amazingly different. No. I think just more of that. Sign yourself up for more of that, and that's all you really need at the end of the day. I don't think there's really much else to add to it as these couple of Hellions and the Reaper escape away on the right-hand side. So just going to move out of here for the moment. A couple extra Hellions showing up as well. So 4 Hellions, 1 Reaper in the middle of the map. And just going to see these guys moving forward. The Queens are there and putting a little bit of damage out right away. Cloak is cancelled, right? I assume cancelled as he's building a Raven. Not actually going to look to use the Cloak here. The Raven's a fun one in TvZ. Obviously, discussed this a fair amount. And I actually think, Solar just scouted the Cloak. Assumes it's probably Banshee play, but it's actually a Raven. Clem does like the Cloak quite a lot of the time. But obviously, every now and then, he actually does sneak in this Banshee. I always thought the Banshee was a really cool little something from the Raven. He sometimes sneaks in this Raven, and the Raven is a really cool little something. And he actually plays usually up to a higher Hellion count with it, and then he uses it to auto turret and to help trade with the Queens, basically. So that's been kind of something which I thought was really cool from Clem in the past. I've always enjoyed it when he's gone for this kind of build. I always thought it was very entertaining. Aliens and the Raven coming back around and just seeing what they can get up to, if anything at all here initially. Not really a lot going on, huh? Just little bits and pieces of a setup. Nothing too wild. Just going to be seeing still just trying to find some potential kills here and there on the map. You see how Overlord's spreading out for a little bit of information as well. Obviously the Queens are pretty much protecting those right now. Also, as the siege tank continues through, another Marine or two popping. And just going to be seeing another depot going down. Foot chamber setting up in the back. Aliens back around the left-hand side. And just going to be seeing those Zerglings continue to produce as well here as the Banelings get going. So 8 Banes coming up, Banelings speed coming through. Aliens are going to move back into the middle of the map here, move around that right-hand side. And the Reaper is super low HP. Turns back around, it's going to get picked off. The Hellions on their own will come across to the right here and hit this hatchery, try and put some damage down. 3 drones going down. In the meanwhile, I believe that's an auto turret that's now in the natural as well. I believe that Raven is just lurking between the natural and the 3rd base and is just continuing to drop, as I say, an auto turret on the mineral lines every so often. That's going to be seen our medevac actually loading up from Clem as well. So he's going to bring some units out on the map. Still has the Hellions alive to utilize, and obviously he also still has the Raven that's lurking between the bases as well. Also going to be a factor. There's a chunk of Banelings now morphing in on the left-hand side. Albat's with this attack makes it scary. I mean, you got just that little bit of extra tankiness than usual, and if you can use these to soak up the Banelings, then amazing. There's a few Banes left here, and Clem just didn't have the time to get the target fire off of them. He does find somehow the time to target fire one at the end there. That's kind of incredible, as he will just lift up and back away. Good cleanup from Solar. Again, all those Hellbats is nice and takes them away from any future fights. And had Banelings left to spare. The Raven has gone down, by the way, as well, so seeing that die means no more harassment from that at the moment. And now the Marines are going to stim back to the left, where they will grab an Overlord. Target fires down a couple of Banes once again, making use of these Marines. Lifting up and evacuating without losing too much overall. We'll probably have to lift up here once again, but not an issue. He is absolutely fine with that. Idler's Den comes down with an infestation pit coming through as well. Flings and Banes on the front. Just going to see Drilling Claws coming through as well. 2-2 upgrades continuing in, and just going to see our Marines pressing forward. A couple creep teamers going down. Medevacs load up over on the left as these Medevacs on the right side load up as well. Medevacs load back up over to the left side they go. CC is on the way in here in the front. Going to see another CC out down to the south, and a couple of those SCVs are going to go along as well, get themselves set up for this. And the Banes to get themselves into position is just going to be seeing our look Den continuing through. The Hive is on the way up. These Marines are going to stim up, and they're going to grab themselves a little Overlord kill there as well. There's a couple of Banes still coming through. Marines going to load back into the Medevacs. Just going to load back up and move back down this left-hand side now. So Marines again getting cleaned up. Clem not the fastest on the pickup there, so playing a little bit of a dangerous game, and this is definitely one where he's not had that mid-game momentum. You know, last game he really had a lot more action around the map, and while he was being held off by Solar, he was still getting places. He was still trading okay. This time it feels like he's achieving nothing. As Solar moves up into Lurker Den and the Hive, Clem is trailing a bit on supply. We'll see how he does defensively. I do think this is one of those stages where Clem's actually absolutely just going to start sitting back and saying, you know what? I am just going to take this into a late game again. Extra CC start, missile turrets coming up. I just don't see what you do to stop this going to late game at this point as Clem, so why not just prepare for it? The only problem with this map is that Solar is then going to have a lot more bases a lot faster. He's going to have a lot more chance to just run units at Clem and just try and completely crush him and just kind of work away at him. and kind of weather down his defenses. So I think that's going to be the biggest issue here for Clem, is that Solo's just going to be in a way better position to somewhat dictate the pace of the game just himself, right? He's likely to be able to get a lot done for himself. He has these few Marines poke their way around that right-hand side. These Marines going to go kiting. The few Lings showing up. A little bit more damage out. Drone moving around. Just going to be seeing the medevac still over on the far right-hand side. Seismic spines coming through as well. Going to get that completed fairly shortly. +2 vehicle weapons is on the way up as well. 3-3 upgrades still coming through. Marines unloading in the main base, and I like this little drop, right? There's no reason you have to sit back and do nothing, but I mean, generally you just don't want to be moving around with like larger units, large groups of units, but like a little drop like this, I feel like could be effective. Pull Solo back, take some attention away. It's very low risk for you. At this point, losing 8 Marines and a medevac is really almost like a non-issue. These turrets shut down the first Overseer attempt to gain vision in the main. Solar is, like I said, you know, being much more aggressive this time around. The tank line here, though, is fantastic, and I can't say that this has been a success story at all from Solar. Yeah, he breaks down some of the Clem army, but I really feel like he loses a crap ton himself. And his tanks over here get picked off by those few Lings that slip by, but otherwise looking decent. This hatchery nearly dies on the right, as these Marines just get dropped off on it, and they're going to try and get it, but the Banelings show up, and that means this drop will be dealt with, so nothing really amazingly gained. I'm going to take this as a chance as Sola sets up new Banelings, etc. to actually come forward and to just clean out some of the creep spread, right? Resources lost massively in Clem's favor, as you should expect based on what just happened in this game. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Marines are back away over on the right-hand side there. A lot of Lings continuing up. Just going to be seeing an army of Sola sitting out down in the bottom right as well. Lings pressing forward. The depots are going to go down. The tank gets abducted in. Oh, those siege tanks getting picked off. These few Banelings pressing through, aiming for the Ghost, and the Ghost is going to get taken down as well. Ghost getting crushed there. These few Banes still chasing. Can Clem hold? Obviously, this is still a really believing. He just has the numbers to just crush on through. He's killing economy of Clem in all sorts. A couple of Lings go on top of that high ground tank. Marine trying to save it, but it doesn't get there. And Clem is really pushed back on the back of this one. This left side of the map is kind of broken down a little bit, especially. Army still sits in the center. Ling and Bane joining together. Lings get forward there. Siege tank goes down. Just going to see the bio army back around the left. And we do have on the right side Ling, Bane, Hydra coming through as well. It's going to start making a play forward here and just going to run on through, aiming for this planetary fortress. The planetary going to be in some trouble pretty much right away. And this really is, like I say, where Clem is just, you know, it's just too much happening all at once. He's losing the left side, he's losing the right side, and Sola just has 91 drones working away at everything that Clem has got here. Yeah, he is in a fantastic spot for sure, so looking very, very good as we see a few lurkers morphing in over on the right-hand side. These few Lings continuing after SCVs. Clem's now lost 28 workers. He actually does have a larger army supply, and he will start a fight across the map. Vane Hydra moves down here as a response to this. There's a lot of Ghosts here, as the Ghosts try and snipe down a bunch of the Hydras in the back, but they take a Baneling shot, so all of their snipes get cancelled, but now they will get snipes off. As the Ling Bane finally disappears, the Ghosts cannot be cancelled from sniping any longer, as the damage wasn't on them. It's going to move down to the bottom, and this run by will be shut down by just units in the wall off. It's going to go jump on the command center. The Fueling is going to move through. SCVs are going to take some damage. Sense Tower gets knocked down. The few Banelings is going to move back up to the top. Well, Solo's maxed out once again. For a moment, when Clem stepped forward, it looks like he had some aggressive potential. Let's see what he has now. These lurkers, but we're right on top of those first two tanks. It's just so much Ling Bane, that's the problem, and you know the ghosts just don't help out so much against that compared to everything else. Clem pulling back, letting the tanks do a lot of the damage where possible. Another round of banelings though, and that surely is just going to crush through Clem here. How do you possibly have enough to deal with that? I don't think you do, is the simple answer. These few ghosts continuing to lift up and trying to save the day, but Clem, he really didn't have control of this game at all. The issue was always going to be that Solo was going to be in a way stronger spot from the early game and the mid game than last time around. Clem has no choice but to GG out. Both Kaizi Gaming and Liquid will lose another life as another 1-1 comes through. And that means both teams, both Clem and Solo will fall here. Both teams will go into their last life, and there will be the potential of reviving players too. Obviously, I mean, very possible we see even more Clem versus Solo. Now this goes down. Top right hand side is going to be from Kaizi Gaming, the Blue Zerg player. This is Solo. There we go. just waiting for it. Bottom left-hand side, our red Terran player from Team Liquid. You guys know him, you guys love him. It is Clem. Well. Map number 1 of this best of 2 on these 2 games. A lot of pressure on whoever loses this map, right? Because whoever loses this map is basically playing to keep their team alive in the tournament. Again, because it's 1 life left, it's not just best of 1 now. I know that might seem confusing, but with 1 life left, you still get a chance to defend your team, right? So you still get a chance to take your opponent's life off them by going 1-1, even if you lose the first game. If you don't do that, if it's 2-0, you lose. But if you do get the 1-1, then you force that final ace match, that best of 1, as both teams have no lives left. They reach that at the same time, and then you go from there. Very exciting, guys. And it creates a lot of drama as well when these situations actually do arise. It actually happens a lot in this event, in this format. Early game is Hatch Gas Pool. It's a Reaper expansion. It's nothing to shout home about. It's going to see our Reaper making its way up the left-hand side initially and is off on a little bit of a journey. Obviously looking to fight some initial lings. There's going to be 6 lings again here from Solo. We've seen a lot of 6 lings lately. Out of the Korean Zergs, Dark likes doing it, Rogue's been doing it, Solo's now doing it. These guys just do not, especially cross-server, just do not want to put any risk on having to deal with the Reaper and, you know, things going wrong. So just making sure a couple extra lings, a little bit of extra safety on a server you maybe can't micro on as well or as perfectly. Definitely something of a factor as the Reaper. Let's set up on the high ground. Next moves along the side. Starport coming up. Just going to be seeing our CC coming through as well. Ling's actually going in after that Reaper there. So Reaper taking a little bit of damage. Oh, no. Don't lag now. Don't lag now. That's not good, guys. Okay, hang on. Let me check the YouTube feed. Is it a different YouTube feed as usual? Oh, we're back. We're back on both. Never mind, guys. We're back. Sorry. We're back on both. All right. So a little bit of lag at the start of the game. Sorry for that, guys. Whoa, now our frame rate looks a bit flunky. It looks like they tabbed out the game, fixing the issue maybe. So a couple moments, we'll see if this resolves itself. I'll let the admin team know. Actually, just gonna ask if anyone else has seen the lower FPS right now, because it's definitely not as smooth as it was before. So we'll just give this a moment or two, guys. Try and figure this out quickly. Alright, sorry, getting back on track. Hellions out into the center. Looks like we are back to normal now, to say it's fixed. Alright, looks a lot better again now, right, guys? Looks smooth again. Wasn't just me. Yeah, cool. Alright, Cloak Banshee's on the way up, so I'm going to change up this opening. Haven't seen Cloak Banshees from him yet, right? Not in this one. I don't think we've seen Cloak Banshees from him yet in this series against Solar. I'm trying to think. He went Raven. He went BC and then he went Raven, right? So he's not had Cloak Banshees yet. So just changing up his opening each game, using different builds, using different ways of getting set up into the mid game, basically. The Hellion's going to come out toward the watchtower there, and it's going to be hanging out. Of the Italians and the Reaper back around. Just going to see the drones coming up, 1-1 upgrades, the stim pack all coming through. A couple of those racks on the way in as well. And just seeing a little bit of action here and there. The thing nest up at the front. And yeah, a few of the Italians around the left-hand side joining with that Reaper. Trying to make something happen. The Banshee's heading back down the bottom left-hand side as well. And just going to be seeing the Queens coming across there, pushing those Hellions out and away. Banshees are going to come in as part of the defense here. The Ling's taking some initial damage and just going to be seeing our stim pack 1-1 upgrades. All of this coming through here from Clem at the moment, so getting that up and running. Upgrade's going to be a little bit faster from Clem than they are for Solar. Solar going for that faster lair and ending up on the Baneling speed, so that's going to be his play for the moment. And as we get that going as well, we're just going to be seeing our Armory from Clem finishing up in the next few moments. Factory number 2 finishing in from Clem, and that means he can actually go into his double factory production, whether that wants to be tanks or Widow Mines. Mentioned about playing tanks in a more defensive style in his interview after he beat Armani earlier today in the previous matchup. So we'll see what he wants to do this time around. See what differences it might be with these Widow Mines. We'll see how aggressive he plays, see what he does with it, and we'll see when he does, if at all, transition into some tanks to try and hold out a little bit as well. Definitely some options there. Queens and Widow Mines just going to be collecting towards the bottom right-hand corner. Extra Baneling is just morphing in, and just the Overseer hanging out overhead. Melee upgrades coming through. The Hydra Den is setting up as well. A few creep tumors are on the way through also. He's going to get a few of these Zerglings and just a little bit more damage being done. Widow Mine goes off over on the right-hand side. Also just grabbing a little bit of damage here as this Reaper sits and fights through some Zerglings. Here come the Marines going in after a creep tumor. And just seeing what else can be done. The Hydra Den is going to be finishing up. 2-2 melee upgrades still coming into play as well. Let's see what Clem can do to try and control this map a little bit, of course. Again, the real difficulty comes a bit further down the line. And as further down the line, you end up in a situation as the game gets later. You know, it becomes a bit harder to control the Zerg and all of that, and that's why clearing out the creep tumors right now just allows you to make that kind of next stage of the game that much easier to keep under your own control. Keep a good handle on. Widow Mine gets a good group of Lings over there. Marines out to the far right, a few Widow Mines unload, and we do see these Marines going to sim forward, and a little bit split away. Lane Bane taking just a little bit of damage to start out there, and Widow Mine's going to line up for a few Banes. Good trade from Clem, obviously just splitting back nicely and letting the Widow Mines do a little bit of the initial damage. Good drop denial by Solar. Stops that Widow Mine drop from coming in. Only a couple of kills, as it only really got off on the edge of the mineral line. Obviously, again, just Queen and the Spore there working together to do fantastic things. While the Marines are still up the right, we're going to see these medevacs all going to boost up the left as well. So they're going to make their way along as we get rid of another drone. The Lings and the Banes still moving forward, and the Marines wanting to come and engage in themselves. Widow Mine shot there is massive, gets a good amount of Lane Bane on that. Now just going to be seeing that Hive still coming online. Well, Clem is pushing two different sides of the map, so there's a little bit of a split push. Definitely some pressure that we've seen him hold back and not really do as much of today. But this game in general, he's just been much more aggressive, but he gets surrounded on the top side, loses everything in an instant. That was a lot of his Hellbats, so clunkier units in general. So it looked worse than it was. It still wasn't pretty, but it definitely could have been worse if those were all like Marines or so. The fact it was Hellbats was a little bit of a saving grace, I think. 95 drones, 82 SCVs, high eco play from both sides as we continue through at the moment. Again, Hydra out down the bottom, the few Widow Mines collecting together. 13 mines on the map at the moment. A lot of mines to utilize here as Solar is attempting to make his way into the Hydras. And of course, past the Hydras, the Lurkers and the Vipers. So his late game is setting up once again. Pumping on some good pressure, but has not really been able to break through here as another Widow Mine shot goes off for a cluster of Zerglings. This Lane Bane army still coming through. Widow Mine still connecting here and there all over the place. Doing a fantastic job of this as a couple of these Widow Mines are getting cleaned down and up. I'm just going to be seeing Clem making his way around the right-hand side now to try and maybe also make something happen. Again, Sips trying to keep this pressure up pretty much throughout. He's been almost non-stop with it as he's refused to kind of step back on the map a bit this game. He's not kind of teching up into that later game as we kind of talked about the last couple of games. We saw him do it on Berlingrad, and then he didn't do it on the previous map. Then he did on the previous map as well on Hardwire, but now he's not doing it here. Widow Mine shot gets a few of these Zerglings on the attempted defense. Haven't really seen Solo be too active on the run-bys either. Clem's been good at shutting those down and good at making them look very minimal for the most part. Good at keeping his opponent from really getting much done as the Ghosts collect together. Lings are going down. Marines loading up into these medevacs and just seeing a few units being picked away at. Widow Mines burrow up over here. Boom, and no second boom just yet on the Overseer. Just going to be seeing our Lings continuing through. Marines turn back around. The Banelings taking damage. And just going to see a couple of drones going down as well. A few more Lings being chased out of there. Now the Bane's going to come through. They're actually going to get a lot of the initial Ghosts in the front lines. All of the Ghosts dying off. Solo loses a good amount of units, though. It's not like this was for free. Clem's going to sit back here off creep and start killing the Banelings out, just rolling in on the line. Solo turns some of those final Banelings into the Planetary Fortress to get the kill. So that's the 5th base denied for the moment, but I mean, Clem's actually trading out still with these Marines in that bottom corner. Solo's supply has just gone. He's got 130 supply money in the bank, don't get me wrong, but he's not rebuilding yet. Just took a crap ton of damage there. Solo committed to the fight. He believed. That's not the right call. Solo doesn't have the lava he needs. He can't rebuild as quickly as he wants to because he doesn't have the lava. So Solo's in a big issue right now. He's in a hole. As you're going to see Ghosts just coming through, sniping, morphing Lurkers, stopping those and coming online. The Banes as well, continuing through. This base is ignored by Clem. He wants to go for the next one, realizes maybe he should just take what he's given for the moment and make the most of it while he can. As we are going to see a couple more snipes. The Vipers are both killed. This Lurker's going to go down too, scanning to make sure of it. And Solo just cannot stabilize off not having the reproduction he needed to be ready to go on the back end of that fight. Lings and Banes coming through again. The Hydra's still coming in. The Ghosts have to back it up a little bit more. Another Widow Mine going off on the Overseers, but this looks as though we are going to have ourselves a Clem Game 1 victory. And Solo's going to have to pick his map again, figure out what he wants to do, as he'll have to try and win game number 2 once more. And try and let this go to that epic best-of-1 final. map, as we do have just the Bayouns continue to bounce backwards. Clem still maxed out. Army up here. Yep, of course there is. A couple of Widow Mines burrowing up. And obviously Solar's just continuing to lose control. Base on the right side still alive as well. It's just not being cleaned out yet. Clem is just like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. It's just chilling over there. Just let it be. These couple of ghosts will go down up here. Maybe a little bit expensive to rally the ghosts on over there, but yeah. Well, Solar just losing this base now. He will lose the far right base as well eventually, of course. That's an expectation at this stage. Would be very surprising to see that stay alive. Although maybe if Clem keeps pushing forward and then gets pushed back, maybe he does get to live for the moment. So I guess something of a possibility. It's going to be seen now by units turning back around. Just going to lift up the medevacs and just get out of there. Gain more units from Clem to the top left. This pressure is just not going to let up at the moment. It's just going to keep on coming through. Absolutely no doubt about it. Looking good at the moment, huh? Looking real good. At this point, Solar probably starts considering what he's going to do differently in game number, game number 2 of this, right? You start thinking about, hey, what am I going to do differently? What map am I going to pick? Am I just going to play Hardwire again? Am I just going to believe in that setup? I would say yes, probably. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Solar just going to try and hang on in here for a little while. And some more snipes coming down. Lurker's taking shots. Lurkers on the left side are definitely holding their ground and making something of a stand at least. So that's nice, but that's really about all they are getting done at the moment. Lots of drones going down. I mean, obviously Clem just has money in the bank. He has drones for, SCV advantage for days. He is in an absolutely killer position right now, and really are just looking for a finale to this map 1 here. Obviously map 3 between them in total. Map 1 of the second best of 2 they play is, like I say, the pressure will all be on Solar to try and keep Kaizi Gaming alive as Liquid are looking to make it to day 2 of the playoffs. Obviously, you win this, you move to the next round, which is tomorrow. Clem gets the first map here. Like I say, Clem will have to win another to guarantee the series. Solar will get a chance at some redemption right now. So that's no lives left. This is again how it works. No lives left for Kaizi Gaming. Means that Solar must win this map to force that best of 1 ace. If you don't do that, you're probably in some trouble. We get ready to dive into our next map. It's hilarious. When she doesn't want me to, when I don't try and play with the toy, she sits next to me and plays with it. So it really is just a case of she does not want me to play with her toy. It's as plain and simple. Solar in the top right of the map here. As in the bottom left, of course, is Team Liquid's Clem. Again, the situation is you win this map as Clem and Team Liquid move to the top 5 of the tournament. They get to that next match, and that's obviously a big one for them. Kaizi Gaming, previous champs, would be eliminated. Liquid will keep their dreams alive moving into tomorrow's games. Tomorrow's games will be fun as well. Of course, we start at the same time as today, my friends. And that means that we're going to be having the winners of this will play Alpha X, and the winners of that will play Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Of course, the final day will feature Shopify Rebellion and Team NV. If those are your favorite teams, they are coming just a bit deeper into the week. Clem's Micro on the Hexagon's 10 out of 10, guys. It's Solar's, which is 8 out of 10, I believe. Let's just see Hatch Gas and Pool setting up and getting this underway. And just going to be seeing the reactor orbital on the way up. So going to be a reactor opening from Clem. Nice quick reactor. Maybe something different here. You know, bypassing the Reaper. Obviously, they just played Hardwire. Once again, Clem wins the first map, which means it's on Solar's map pick now for him to try and win the second game here. And to keep Kaizi Gaming alive. kind of exciting. I really, really am thrilled to see who comes out on top of this one. See if we do get that final best of one ace, or if we do get a liquid victory. I actually kind of love both. Best of one ace, an extra map, a liquid victory. I think it's cool to see Liquid making their playoffs and then winning 2 in a row in the playoffs to get a very strong start in this gauntlet of matches. And to kind of start progressing from there. I think that's extremely exciting. Gonna grab a critter out over the left-hand side. Well, obviously just a heavier marine count early game. This does open a few options for you. Heavy marine count into a starport factory. We'll go to the reactor. Let's see what the barracks builds here. Tech lab potential. I mean, if no tech lab, you can get a medevac, and that's obviously got opportunity here as well. He already knows about this first overlord. He will start to move across the map. So these marines will be backed up by a couple of Hellions. He's actually going to pull this group of marines back, though. So he's just trying to force Solar into building units. Solar did not build anything. But he's just trying to scare Solar that little bit. Try and make Solar say, oh god, you may be coming with these marines. They might commit, right? Something to be wary of. The barracks is going to float out for the overlord kill. I mean, this is an early game overlord kill. The earlier you kill the overlord, the better it generally turns out to be for you. So that's interesting, to say the least. Interesting, to say the least. The Banshee getting that cloak set up as well. And it's going to be cloaked Banshees once again, as we're going to see Solar mixing it up this time. Roach run about to be done. He's going to have the gas to make a few roaches right away. This will be some... He's going to do some kind of pressure here, right? If you're going to make these roaches, you can just defend with them, of course, but a lot of the time you would then see them go across the map and put some pressure on. He sees the Marines still at home, and now Hellions show up for one drone kill. 7 roaches on the way. Definitely feeling like Solar just wants to get the job done early. This time around, the Banshee will be massive here. The Armory, not so much, right? The Armory is one of those things where it's like, okay, Hellbats are nice. The thing is, it doesn't, like, counter roaches, but it does make these Hellions sturdier in the overall commitment. And Clem just saw the roaches, right? I'm pretty sure he just saw the roaches. Pulls the Hellions back immediately. I think he might have just cancelled the Armory, just saying, would rather have my resources spent elsewhere. As the first Banshee will move forward and look to greet those roaches in the middle of the map. Solar is already droning behind this, but of course, if Clem can just deal with this without taking too much damage, that's going to be absolutely fantastic for him, and he will get into a very good spot from this. As here we go. Banshee's sitting out the front. Now going to start picking away at these roaches. The Ling's showing up. The Hellion's still on the map. Maybe Clem second-guessed himself with that Hellion movement. Did he not see the roaches? Okay, well, the wall will be open. Obviously, the Hellions are still across the map. They're going to go diving for damage, and now he's got a tank on the high ground. If he can stop high ground vision, that tank's going to do a lot. Zerglings will try and allow high ground vision, but there's only one Ravager anyway. 8 SCVs dead. Oh, the tank-friendly fire does more than anything else. As the Hellions run in, they will get some damage. The entire attack of Solar cleaned out. But 15 SCVs died. Oh, I don't know if we had to lose 15 SCVs here, Clem. That seems very expensive. That seems really, really expensive. Hellions come back in. A few drones going down. Oh, they're stacking! The drones come back over and stack, and that's where Clem's going to get a lot of damage done. Bringing it back a little bit. 13 drones dead to the 14 SCVs. Solar's obviously been droning like crazy. The problem is, he invested into those roaches, and that's a lot of his gas early game just gone. So, like, his worker count is good, but other parts of this don't look so pretty. Clem's army supply currently in the lead. You know, you're not near any sort of Baneling nest or any, Baneling nest right now, so you don't have Bane speed coming through. You don't have Evo chambers coming through. Those are the issues. And you've got these Banshees as Clem, which can still deal further damage and continue to improve your position as well. So also, most likely a factor. Well, drones being picked away at. I mean, like I said, just little bits of damage to keep Solar from getting too far ahead on that work count. He's done nothing but drone, right? Like, I feel like this is one of those scenarios where if you just actually go with the army as Clem, like, Solar has not a lot. Because he's just being so greedy. He's basically holding down the drone gain, saying, please don't attack, please don't attack, please do not attack. Clem's going to attack with Stim, and there'll be no Baneling speed, and there's not going to be Do we have a +1 attack upgrade already from Clem? I don't think so. The engineering base came in sync. He's just started armor, which is what's got me questioning. Yeah, no +1 attack, so I was just wondering why he's got armor on the way. He's doing a bit of a beyond there. Hopefully he doesn't forget that completely, because that would be a major mistake to not have his +1 attack upgrade working. That would be a big issue. Clem's making his way around the right side of the map. The thing is, we're getting closer and closer to the point where Sola's just already got the drones, so he's now just building units anyway. His Queen's on this right-hand side. These Marines are going to get sieged with the tanks, and they are going to move forward. This base is going to be under fire. The 4th base here of Sola is going to be denied pretty much immediately. So that 4th base gets taken down. And these Marines move up. There's no Banelings yet, guys. That's going to be one of the bigger issues, of course. As now only a couple of them morphing in. Now 11 on the way up, but Sola gets supply block. Losing Overlords is obviously going to be pretty problematic. I mean, Clem again needs to do some damage right now, because realistically missing his 1+1 attack upgrade might be an issue further down the line. He's trying to avoid the tank-friendly fire there. They'll pull back behind the siege tanks. We'll actually unsiege the tanks as well, as the Banelings are going to start showing up. He's going to leave the tanks there as a bit of tanking, and he will start to shoot at an Overseer. Sola behind heavily on supply right now. The opening did not go well enough for him, and these Banelings are just not getting anywhere. New Lings on the way out. They're going to start streaming forward soon. Obviously, Clem just hasn't reinforced in a little while as he gets to a choke point with the siege tank to help against those Lings. He saves the last few Marines, but that is pretty much going to be it for this fight. It's going to be seeing our Marines and a tank moving up through into the middle of the map there. I'm just going to see a couple of Banshees trying to make their way around. So they're still alive too. Clem's army supply lead definitely came into effect there, but he's not being able to close the game out. He's obviously delayed a 4th base of Sola massively. That goes a long way, especially in a game like this. A 4th base is going to slow down your production of Lings and Banes, so it will have an impact. It's not just the economy that will affect, so that's something else for us to keep in mind about. Keep in our minds. Definitely a factor. Marines and a tank still into the center of the map. The unit's still moving up into the center as well, as just going to be seeing Clem knows he's got the momentum in his favor. He knows it makes no sense for him to let up the pressure, so he's going to keep on attacking, right? Like I say, it just makes no sense to do otherwise right now as tanks get siege. Marines are going to clean out a couple of creep teamers again. Ling's going to go for counterattack. There are Marines here, and there's a tank on the high ground as well, which will do a lot to help in this position. I think that's actually going to be a pretty big factor, just being able to hold that counterattack off. Clem trying to make his way forward there. A few Banelings are connected. He's still up 30 supply in total. That's absolutely an issue for sure, as it looks as though Sola is really running out of steam a little bit. He was the one to choose the aggression in this game, and it has absolutely put him in a hole that he's not been able to dig his way out of. In we go now. These Marines are going to stim. The Ling Bane decides to disengage. Clem doesn't have any counterattacks to worry about, so he's fully focused on this push over here. And it just continues to improve for him. It just gets better and better. He's going to take down that base. The right side 4th is at least up and running. The power of double expanding. But I mean, you know, even losing just another hatchery here is kind of problematic at this stage. Ling Bane is still going to come moving on through. Moving on forward. A few of those Marines getting picked off, and Clem's still up 40 supply in this game, looking to put Team Liquid to day 2 of the World Team League playoffs. Clem, right now, is playing some fantastic StarCraft. He's been playing great all day. He 3-0 Trap earlier in the first match as well. It's been a great day of games from him, and it looks as though it will continue as he continues through. Counterattack will happen. We'll see what comes of that very soon. Clem, how well can we deal with it as he falls back to his tank line there? Oh, wait. Clem's got a whole, like, maxed out army over here. He's just chilling. He's not had to reinforce for a while, so now he will bring those reinforcements across as he's deflected the counter. Sola gets a good position here, right? Going from a few different angles makes it difficult, and Clem says, okay, lift up, reset, but his other units are going to be showing up soon. Now he's actually going to start fighting, sets the libs up, which will come into play with this army that's now arriving as well as he goes chasing those units down. Wow, I mean, these Marines just continue on forward, just going to be pulling back again now. A few Widowmine shots going off. Lings and Banes getting blown the hell up. And my friends, GG from Sola. Team Liquid's Clem does it, and he's going to take Team Liquid through to the next round of the World Team League playoffs. The Liquid boys are watching. This camera shot doesn't work. Oh, they just turned the lights out on Kaizi Gaming. Oh, goodbye, Kaizi. You guys got your lights turned out. Oh my goodness. That was a cool camera shot, actually.